So, good evening, everyone. I am Brian Wallace. It is now approximately 6:02 as we get started. The good news is this webinar will also be recorded, and because it's recorded, you'll be able to go back and watch it from time to time. Now, we'll be talking a little bit today about the PSSA testing that will be taking place. Now, I know that there are a lot of questions that you may have. So, if you put your questions in the chat, joining us are our two outstanding assistant principals, Miss Nelson and Miss Trumbette, and they will be answering those questions for you and have them turned around for you at some point on Wednesday afternoon to answer as many questions in an FAQ that will be sent out to the entire school from us here at Elkins Park. So again, as you ask questions, feel free to put them into the chat. We're going to be moving right along because it is now 6:03, and approximately at 6:30, we need to free this link up for other school district meetings or businesses that will be taking place from some of our other schools. So we don't want to make sure that we're finished this meeting as close to 6:25 as possible. So the PSSA testing presentation from Elkins Park will begin at this time. So why is there testing? So the Pennsylvania Department of Education, also in conjunction with the United States Department of Education, mandates that all districts give out standardized tests. So that's part of what we're doing this year. We do realize this is unusual times, but we're going to do everything possible to make sure that we adhere to that and make sure this test takes place. The assessment data is intended to be used as just a source of information this year for parents and for educators, and also to align targeted resources. So a little bit different than has been used in the past. In the past, it's more been used sort of as accountability, but this year it's really solely being used for informational purposes, and we do believe that is associated with all the unusual times that we've been going through in the past year. PDE has also provided documentation to explain this to parents and guardians. There's a link right there on our wonderful slide, and we'll be making sure that we'll make sure you have that link so you can always click on it, or feel free to always go to PDE's website to look up that information, which gives you all the information about why testing takes place. On to the next slide. Now, PSSA testing, again in Pennsylvania, is the same mandated grades that we've had in the past few years, and that is grades 3 through 8, which includes both of our grades for Elkins Park. Now, the PSSA test usually consists of math, English, language arts, and science, but Elkins Park, as you know, is only 5th and 6th grade, so we do not give out the science test at Elkins Park, but our outstanding elementary schools and our good friends over at CBK will be giving that test. Now, this is very important. Parents who wish to opt-out procedures will be provided for you when available from the school district or Elkins Park. So stay tuned to that. If you will wish to opt out, those procedures will be provided for you, and more information will be provided about those who wish to opt out of the test this year. To the next slide. Now, the testing environment is perhaps the one that is going to generate a lot of questions. Even though we're in very unusual times, our testing environment will still have to be the normal testing environment which we give the PSSA if this was taking place maybe a year or two ago. That means all participants or students will be tested in person. The guidelines for a health and safety plan will continue to be followed when we'll use all those safety precautions that CDC put and implemented for us, including at the beginning of the school year that we're still practicing at Elkins Park. Testing will be completed using online activities, which is something a little new, and we will use our school district Chromebooks to facilitate this. And this will be new, so you're usually used to the pen and paper test, the scantron sheets or booklets, but at this time, we'll be giving online assessments to all of our students at school. Testing will be sort of broken up a little bit, so there will be pauses and breaks as allowed it by the testing. And of course, if your child comes in from remote and to on site to be tested, a lunch will be provided. They are looking into transportation. We're not 100% sure about that yet, but more information about transportation will follow. This is for our wonderful students who remain remote. Testing will take place at Elkins Park for Elkins Park students. At-home testing is not allowed for the PSSA. So again, all of our tests will take place at Elkins Park. Now we'll give you more information for exactly what the days of the testing will look like or what days we'll be giving the test. Lunch will be provided again for all students taking the test because it could be a long day. There will be the breaks, of course, but we will provide lunch. Transportation is being explored for those testing days for those individuals who need transportation. And as a district, we'll issue the technology, including the Chromebook, which will be made available for every student who is coming onto the campus to take that test. So that old slide that we just went through was for our remote students only. Thank you. And we also want to give a special shout out and thank you to Ms. Tancredi, who's behind the scenes making sure our slideshow continues nicely. Now, the timeline for testing is also important. Testing cannot start before April the 19th. So it will be obviously after spring break, and it will begin the week of April 19th. Now, there's a testing window and for the test to take place. To help with scheduling the test, we're asking families to provide information about each student. And we'll talk to you about that testing survey and the link and where you can get that. Access to the survey will be in the following slide. Now, also, the school district sent this information out to families earlier. And just today, if you check an email from me, there was a link to that survey. We do need all parents to complete that survey so we have an idea of who's testing, who's maybe be planning to opt out, and we can compile our information to begin planning to administer this PSSA test. Now, once that is complete, a detailed schedule will be provided after the survey results are in. So we'll be making sure that we communicate to the parents what's going on with testing the same way that I keep in touch with you, neither on a Friday or Sunday afternoon or sometime in between the week, so that you're up to date with all of the testing procedures. And the final slide for this presentation, which I did want you to know was going to be brief because of the upcoming things after this, but the survey is extremely important. If you use your phone, you can scan the QR code, which will allow you to get directly to the survey through your smartphone, or you can hit on the link. Now, the link obviously might not work on the Zoom webinar, but you can check my email that I sent to you today, approximately around 12 o'clock. And in that email, there is a link which will take you right to the survey. We definitely want to make sure that all of our parents are completing the survey so that we can have that information to begin servicing the student to administer this PDE PSSA test for the 2020-2021 school year. I want to thank you, all of you who participated in this webinar today. We are open to answer your questions. So as you type those wonderful questions in the chat, our assistant principals will be answering those questions for you and have those answers for every question that is asked by Wednesday close of business so that we can make sure that we answer your questions. As always, we are here for you to support you in any way. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So to our outstanding assistant principals, did we miss anything or anything else we want to cover?
No, we do have some questions coming in that we're copying. So if you could, we'll just leave it open for about 5 minutes to make sure that we capture them all.
Thank you. So take your time, write the questions into the chat.
It's actually in the Q&A.
Thank you. Write the questions in the Q&A.
And as Mr. Wallace stated, we will be putting together this frequently asked questions, the question about the algebra and how the results will be used is the reoccurring theme, and we'll be sure to provide detail for that.
So we actually are running a little bit of ahead of schedule. So I'm going to skim through some of these questions to try to answer some of the main ones because it is still 6:15 and we have about 10 minutes on the link. We will still answer the same questions um, using the FAQ as well. So even if I answer the questions now that I know the answer to, we will make sure we address every single question that was asked and have answers for you by, again, close the business on Wednesday, which will be emailed out on Wednesday. And then I'll try to do it again on some other time so that everyone gets that. Again, this webinar is also going to be recorded so you can go back and ask those questions. So lunch being provided, one of the questions was, what are we going to do about lunch, the lunchroom? It is our goal to make sure that we, if we have remote students come in, we'll make sure we schedule for that. And what I mean by that is we'll make sure that we have all the space and adequate 6-foot distancing that CDC recommended at the beginning of the year for all students. So safety, even in the midst of the PSSA, is still our number one primary responsibility. So we don't have to worry about the students who are here having lunch with the students who are remote, if that were the case. We will not have that. So we'll make sure that those students are catered to and have their opportunities to eat, neither in different locations or different ways. So we will do that. Social distancing, how will we manage that? Again, we're gonna not co-mingle the cohorts. So if you're back in school, you will not cross mingle with students who are remote. And that's very important because again, we're gonna follow all CDC guidelines that were put in place back in September to make sure all students are safe, especially those students who are coming in remote and the students that are here. So we're going to make sure that takes place. All right, let's see another one. We will answer the question about if the score will be used for other, which we're most likely this will just be for informational purposes, but we'll make sure that we have that official answer put into the FAQs as well.
Mr. Wallace, can I just add to that one? So the answer to that is, although the criteria has not been established yet, and they are continuing to look at the best way to do that, at best, and this is not even decided on, the 2020-2021 PSSA data for both 5th and 6th graders may be used as a supplementary data point for math placement. This will not be a key part of any decision making, but rather an aid in helping determine students who might be on the bubble. But again, it is not a major part of the criteria in the decision making.
Thank you, Ms. Trumbette. All right, what about the students who opt out? Is there a plan for them? Absolutely. We'll make sure that we keep the school running, and the students who opt out will continue to receive the high quality education as other students are testing. So we do have a plan on that. One great suggestion is, will we still have recess? And that answer is absolutely, especially as the weather gets warm. It was a beautiful day to be out with the students today and just walking around, and they're doing such a good job here at Elkins Park. So yes, we will still have recess even on testing days. And I think that's important, especially to ease the students' mind and make sure they have a relaxing environment to take the test.
Can I add,
Wallace, there's a question about where will this be posted. This presentation will be posted on our website, the recording, and the FAQ will also be posted, and it will be sent out by homeroom teachers and by Mr. Wallace. So you'll either receive it by email or you can view it on our website.
Thank you. We have time for a few more. Will the tests be done remotely? And that's absolutely not. So PDE did not give us the option to have any at-home tests whatsoever. Every single test that's given, whether it's using technology, must be given inside of Elkins Park for 5th and 6th grade students. But that is a great question. Let's see, how many students will there be in? Oh, we will not go over the allotted students that we have now. So if our maximum class size is 14, there'll never be more than 14 kids inside of a class taking a test. So we'll be very strategic with the schedule for how we do that, but that's the goal. Again, we're not going to ever break the CDC guidelines that were put in place at the beginning of the year, even though things are changing a little bit. Someone wrote, thank you, and I say thank you for thanking us. We appreciate everything the parents are doing this year. You guys are absolutely amazing, and we're working hard here at Elkins Park, making sure that we provide your students with the best education possible, even in these different times.
Mr. Wallace,
go ahead.
The dates and hours for remote students for when they need to report based on our survey results. We will be providing that after spring break. Also, the scores aren't affecting our students. It's really looking at how we allocate our resources. So that's a reoccurring theme through all the questions. The other question that I wanted to answer real quick was if a family opt out, is there any penalty? There's absolutely no penalty. They just won't be part of it. Or the participation rate is not counting this year. So if you choose to opt out, they'll just be opted out this year.
Someone asked, will students be able to go home after they completed the test? We're going to wait to see if there's any recommendations about that from our administration. But for the most part, I would plan for a regular school day. Some of those tests, although they are not that long, it does take an entire day to complete the testing cycle. What is the main reason why students, the same with the Chromebook, why do they need to take it at school? Again, that's the Pennsylvania Department of Education has mandated that. I'm not quite sure why, but we will not be able to give the test remotely.
Here's another one. If we opt out initially, can we change our mind when we receive all the information we need to make the most appropriate decision for our child? You can. There will be a process that you need to follow so that each student will be issued a ticket to take the online test, and we have to account for all those tickets, just like we would with the paper and pencil version. So once we have that opt-out list, that would be your final answer. You do not have to stick with that, unlike our remote and hybrid learning.
And then the last question is actually a really good question, and they all were great questions. And like I said, we will answer all of them as we come to an end, is if your student opts out, but yet and still, because they opted out, you would feel more comfortable, or you want them to stay home and learn remote. And that, because of the way technology is set up now, you absolutely can do. So just let us know. And for example, you opted out, and for whatever reason you want your child to stay home during the testing window, you absolutely can do that. and we have the ability to make sure that the education is uninterrupted. And that's the cool part about the technology and everything that we have during these unusual times. So again, there were other great questions that are gonna, we wanna make sure we answer. We're gonna actually answer them all in the FAQs. Some more that were a little bit more complex than me to talk about right during this time. But however, we'll make sure that we answer all of your questions and have it to you by Wednesday, close of business, so that you'll have the answers for your FAQs. We're gonna close the meeting as we have to make sure this link is available for other district use. Parents, I have one thing I want to leave you with is I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all your support. And we are here to make sure that whatever you need, we are here to support you. So anything you need or any questions or concerns or feedback, you know you can email the three of us and we will get back to you as soon as possible. As I always say, stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of the week. Thank you, and have a fantastic rest of the week again.